In Dream, the dreamer dies, abandoning his dream relatives. But then he wakes up, freed from that dream life and death. It's all very real at the time, isn't it, when you're in a dream? It doesn't matter how absurd or inconsistent it is, it's real. We experience it, we have memories. You can fall asleep and wake up within a dream. You can fall in love, have sexual experiences, experience grief, fear, terror. Somebody might even tell you in the dream that it's a dream. And logically you might accept it, but you're still caught up in the reality of the dream. And then when you wake up, you realise it was only a dream. It was all of the same thing. It was all of the same substance. It was all of dream substance. Everything you dreamed of, all the people in the dream, all the objects in the dream, hills, houses, space, even yourself, you were all of the same nature. You were all dream stuff. And because we think, well, what's the substance of a dream? It's not anything. It's void. We call it void. Doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. It's just saying there's nothing there. But it's an intensely rich experience, isn't it? And that same mechanism which creates dreams creates our whole waking state as well. Everything that we experience when we're awake is created by exactly the same mechanism. How can I say that? Well, just look to the scientific understanding. Examine how you're experiencing what you're experiencing right now. You need to look into this for yourself. You need to understand this directly for yourself. Use whatever means you think that are appropriate. Even so, after experiencing joy and sorrow here for a long time, one dies. The dreamer wakes to experience another dream known as the world. Even so, after experiencing this world, one goes on to yet another. While dreaming, the dreamer does not realize that a previous dream was unreal. It was only a dream. Even so, one does not remember the past life, but considers the present life alone to be real. So the assumption here is that we go from one dream to the next. And I have to say, I think this is one of the most convincing cases for notions of reincarnation that I've actually come across. We can be anything in a dream, can't we? We go from one dream to the next. What's the connection though? What's the connection between one dream and the next dream? Well, there's no need to worry about it. It's just something that's happening. In the same way that this consciousness which is here right now is experiencing itself in a particular variety of circumstances, a particular variety of ways. It's the same with the consciousness that is right there, right now. It's experiencing a certain stream of experiencing, a certain variety of experiencing, and it will carry on doing so. It's got nothing to do with me as a person, it's got nothing to do with you as a person. Your reality is this awareness within which everything becomes apparent, within which all your experiencing becomes apparent. It's what is doing the experiencing. It just goes on. There is never nothing. There can never be nothing. There's all this experiencing going on. It's all consciousness experiencing. And it just carries on. It doesn't stop at death. So while dreaming, the dreamer does not realize that a previous dream was unreal. Even so, one does not remember the past life, but considers the present life alone to be real. The dreamer is said to wake up when his sleep comes to an end. Even so, the person who lives in this world and dies wakes up elsewhere. It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? You often see this kind of thing in movies though. Movies have got no trouble portraying this. Whatever the plot device, you might find the main character experiencing a completely different life. I'm thinking of a movie called Bedazzled. There's a couple of versions of it. There was the original version and a remake in recent times. And basically the main character has sold his soul to the devil. And he gets a chance to pursue different lifestyles with regard to obtaining the affections of a particular woman. And although he knows he's in some kind of new reality, he's totally caught up with it, totally identified with it. I think that movie Bedazzled is quite a good illustration of this. But there's lots of movies that have this kind of theme. The character shifts from one reality to another. And this is how it is. It's not just a plot device, this is actually how it is. We shift from one reality to another. I asked, what's the connection then between them? And perhaps there isn't any connection, but I suspect that there could be a particular tone. Our dreams tend to have a certain tone, don't they? They might be one of anxiety. And I suspect our whatever life we have now and whatever that tone is in this life will carry on in the next life. So suicide's not really an option, because whatever the tone was that leads you to suicide, it's going to carry on in the next life. So we have to examine the tone we've got to our life. We have to look right into it. The distinction between dream and waking is therefore purely arbitrary and academic. Both of them are based on the sole reality of the infinite consciousness. They're based on the sole reality of consciousness, which is infinite. So this is one of the discriminations we make, don't we? We make this distinction between dream and waking. Well, spiritually we need to move beyond that distinction, that discrimination. We've got this tendency to parcel things into real and imagination, real and imaginary, which is very important for certain modes of existence. But spiritually, we need to look at how we limit ourselves by this discrimination, and we need to move beyond it. All the moving and unmoving things are but pure consciousness, just like everything in a dream. When an illusory notion of division arises in it, consciousness comes to be known as the world. A pot is but clay. In the absence of clay there is no pot. All objects are pure consciousness, and if consciousness is not, nothing is seen. Just like all the objects in a dream are just consciousness. Water is liquid. Minus its liquidity, it is not water. You might say, well, what about ice? But we call it ice then, don't we? And when it's boiling, we call it steam. So water is something which is liquid. And if it's not liquid, it's not water. Even so is consciousness. Everything here is pure consciousness. Mine is pure consciousness. Nothing is. And there's no such condition as mine is pure consciousness. You cannot have no consciousness. There is always consciousness. There is always consciousness happening. Consciousness experiencing.